Welcome back, friends. Lost Guy here. Time for more Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We're getting there. We're getting there. Here we go. I don't know how much more there is. This feels like they're really wrapping it up. Doesn't feel as convoluted as the end of the first one. Here we go. Kazuma Sogi. I know you, and I know you wouldn't lie. But still, there's no doubt that you're holding something back. You know more than you're saying. During the past 30 minutes, while this court was adjourned, all possible efforts were expended. But sadly, Mr. Jigoku's whereabouts could not be ascertained. We must accept the unfortunate conclusion that the Reaper has already done the deed. There is no sense in wasting any more of the court's time. The prosecution calls for an immediate verdict.
Objection!
Gotta find that voice again. No, the trial cannot end now. You're a Japanese man, Ryunosuke. You should know when to lay down your sword. There's the voice. And you should know never to presume when the battle is won. Woo! The court has already been presented with all the evidence and heard all relevant testimony. And there can be only one conclusion, that the accused is guilty. All relevant testimony? Far from it! There's still a crucial witness, from whom the court is yet to hear a single word of testimony. In that case, call your witness to the stand at once, counsel. Yes, my lord. Tomorrow, if possible. The witness is already on his way, and scheduled to arrive tomorrow. Prince Adon, who on earth is this crucial witness? Seshiro Jigoku. The very man allegedly murdered by the Reaper. Judge Jigoku? You found him? But the investigations of every policing resource in the capital suggest that Jigoku is already dead. How in the name of God did you find the man? There it is. He was located in France during the recess, at the port of Dunkirk. Thanks to one Mr. Herlock Sholmes' famous deductions. Herlock Sholmes. Inspector Gregson almost certainly met with Mr. Jigoku on the night of his death. Because along with Prosecutor Asogi, Gregson was on a mission to assassinate the man. Which means that Seshiro Jigoku is the sole witness, who can clarify exactly what happened aboard the Grouse on the 31st of October. I missed the SS part, but it is. Well, it would appear that it's too soon to move to adjudication at this point. The prosecution concurs. The court must hear Mr. Jigoku's testimony. No judgment should be passed until all testimony has been considered. In that case, I hereby call the end of today's proceedings. Court will reconvene at the same hour tomorrow. No objections from either side. No, my lord. No objections, my lord. We'll live to fight another day. By the skin of our teeth. Now is it to be continued? Yeah, okay. It was all over the place. I was wondering what the hell was going to happen next. Okay, so... And we save, and then we keep going, because obviously we didn't do that much. Man, time goes by quickly. Really? It's already... Alright, okay. Hey, keep going. Investigation. Wait, we're doing investigation now? What? I thought we were just going to go to the next court piece. The unexpected halt of proceedings sent a clamor around the courtroom. But outside the Bailey, where Londoners knew nothing of the secret trial within, it was a typical still night. Then at a little past 8 o'clock that evening, Mr. Sholmes and his partner returned to Baker Street. We need to learn about the parentage of a little girl. 3rd November, 8:07 p.m., Sholmes' suite. We have returned, my dear fellows. Welcome back to Britain, and thank you for your timely help. Think nothing of it. I believe you've had an even more wearing day than Mikotoba and I know. You could say that. We were on the brink of defeat in court earlier. So this prosecutor, Asogi, had you on the ropes, did he? And he's your best friend, you say? Well, he's not really the man I knew in Japan anymore. Kazuma's changed. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I mean, it's incredible. To think that he'd even entertained the idea of acting as the Reaper's assassin. Well, nevertheless, you must introduce me. After all, I've only met the young man as a corpse. When all this started, almost a year ago now. Mr. Sholmes still hasn't told us the truth about what really happened back then. About the motivation for what he himself described as a great detective's lie. Now then, I must say, it's really quite a journey all the way to France. Well, it is another country, Mr. Sholmes, so what news of Jechigoku? We took him to Scotland Yard. The investigating detectives there have a lot of questions for the man. Or Professor Mikotoba. This must be quite a shock for him. Ah, yes. I picked this up at the telegraph office on our way home. What is it? Surely you haven't forgotten already? I put upon you for the matter only yesterday. You put upon me, Sholmes. I had to fill out your telegraph to Japan and foot the bill as well. Oh, you've had a reply already? What was so urgent, though, Mr. Sholmes? Such matters can wait until later. I'm far too hungry for an involved conversation at present. What is good news? Because supper is ready, everyone. Ah, and what a feast it is. If I were none the wiser, I'd think the trial were won already. Roast beef, kippers, stew, steak and kidney pie, Yorkshire pudding. Tomorrow could be a very long day, so eat up. In that case, I think I'll seat myself just here. This place appears to be the only set with a helping of pheasant as well. Oh, sorry, Howie, not there. Why not? Why ever not? Are we in a set place this evening? Yes, in that place is for Susie's daddy. For me? That's right. I made it especially for you, Professor Miki. I see. Well, that's terribly kind of you. It's a shame, really. What do you mean? Well, for a brief moment, I believed it. That Susie and I were half-sisters, I mean. Oh! What? Iris, do you mean... She is the master of deduction. Yes, I know now. I overheard yesterday. I secretly listened in the conversation I had after I tricked you all into thinking I'd left. What? What? So with the power of deduction, she's figured out she's not related. The misunderstanding arose because of that autopsy report from 10 years ago. But actually, it turned out that neither Dr. Wilson nor Professor Mikotoba are Iris' father. It's just Sholmes the whole time and he's just not good at being a dad. Yes, about that, Iris. You know, I know, you can't tell me at the moment. Oh, Iris. The pheasant is by way of an apology. I'm sorry for eavesdropping. Swear to God if she's a Von Zeeks. Oh, no, that's quite alright. Then why don't I get an apologetic pheasant? So just who is Iris' father? I suppose that's not something we'll be finding out today. So then, let us dine while our largely pheasantless plates are still piping hot. A fine idea, Sholmes. It all looks absolutely delicious. Eat as much as you like. There are always seconds. But not for Sholmes. This could be our last chance to ask questions before tomorrow's trial. About that telegram from Japan, and about Kazuma. I can't let this opportunity slip away. What are kippers? And who sits like that? With their shoes on? Besides Rick James. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Can we only talk to Sholmes? We can only talk to Sholmes, alright. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? Pouting? Surely it's abundantly clear that I wasn't brooding over Mikotoba's refusal to share his pheasant with me. Nevertheless, I felt the need to withdraw from the social circle for a while and look on with hungry eyes. Sorry, Howie, but I cooked that pheasant specifically for Susie's daddy. Even though I've played the role of father to you for far longer. Mr. Sholmes? Can I discuss some things with you? Certainly, my dear fellow. I find myself quite in the mood for a spell of conversation. No doubt. You're hungry to learn more of my deep love of game? I can probably contain my curiosity on that one. Okay. You needn't look at me in that fashion. In what fashion? It seems that before we discuss the pheasant, we have some rather unpleasant matters to discuss. Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright, conversation, let's go. Telegram. So, what was in the telegram you received back from Japan then? This? I think my lucky stars had arrived in time. Record found as indicated, duplicate follows. Kyosuke, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. Yeah, Kyosuke. Yeah, we saw these names before. Yeah. T. Gregson, J. Wilson, A. Shin, Kyosuke. So we know all these characters now. What? Those 4 names! I forgot about that from last game. I knew there were names, but I don't remember who the names were. We've come across that exact same list before. At the end of the first game. They came up in that unforgettable case last spring. That unforgettably long case when Santa died. What appeared to be a simple case of aggravated murder turned out to be masking monumental intrigue. A plot that involved the sale of British governmental secrets to foreign states. In exposing the means by which those secrets were being leaked, we deciphered a fragment of a message. Kyosuke, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. But we didn't find the names out until the case was over, and we never did get to the bottom of what they meant. All we knew was that the information had been sent by somebody in the British government to somebody in Japan. So, why are the names coming up again now? Yes, where did the sender of your telegram discover them, Mr. Sholmes? I have here the message I had wired yesterday. Allow me to read it to you. Enter Judge Jigoku's office undetected and investigate telegram records. Expect to find communication from Britain dated 1 year ago. List of 4 names. Need by tomorrow. Naruhodo. I sent it to a detective I know who specializes in clandestine missions of this nature. You asked Inspector Hosonaga to undertake such an onerous task for you. And in my name? I wonder what guys he opted for this time. Also interesting to finally have him referenced in the second game, right? Oh, besides that Soseki case. My dear fellows, it was a matter of great urgency, you understand. Anyway, the list of names was found in Seshiro's office, as Sholmes predicted. So you mean that mysterious collection of names that was sent from Britain to Japan was... It was sent to Judge Jigoku. He was the intended recipient. I don't believe it. But that doesn't actually answer the question of what the list of names signifies. I did formulate a hypothesis about that. Without a shred of evidence, I couldn't possibly have shared it. Mr. Sholmes looks deadly serious for once. Telegram Japan has been entered into the court record. Alright, well, it's looking like Jigoku might not be a good guy. That's too bad. Cosmo's dead. Or he's just playing the pieces. That tragedy we had to go through on the SS Buria. It was all for nothing. Cosmo wasn't dead at all. You know my favorite cut from the first game, from earlier into later in the first game, was the freaking Russian guy, leader of whatever group, the Rasputin guy or whatever, becoming a freaking jury. That was amazing. That was my favorite joke. It was all for nothing. Cosmo wasn't dead at all. We were completely taken in by the lie you told us. Your great detective's lie. I took no pleasure in deceiving you. However, at the time, all that concerned me was preventing the young man's study tour from taking place, whatever the cost. What? I capitalized on the events that transpired to see that he was sent back to Japan. His remains, you mean? Precisely, Miss Sasato. And then, I made sure that somebody else was sent to Britain in his stead. Oh my, you mean? The arrangement between our two countries was already in place. One university student lawyer and one judicial assistant to be accommodated on a study tour. In other words, by arranging for someone else to fill the place originally intended for Mr. Osogi, I would successfully prevent the man from arriving on our shores for several years at least. Wait, do you mean to say that it was all in aid of stopping Cosmo from coming to Britain? That's why you... Think back, Mr. Naruhodo. Was there not somebody who quite casually urged you to continue on the voyage to England? Holmes himself, wasn't it? Or Hosanaga. Oh. What was his voice? The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. In the light of Mr. Osogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer and the study tour can continue, surely. There is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know no other lawyer. Well, not wingmanning at all, Sasato. The voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. So, you manipulated me? I've often remarked on the extraordinary lengths to which friendship will drive a man. I was quite sure that you would rise to the challenge for your late friend. I don't believe it. But if it was all contrived... I mean, what happened was treated by the authorities as murder. A woman was mistakenly arrested as the perpetrator. What do you suppose became of her? Naturally, I didn't allow the misapprehension to have any serious repercussions. Yeah, I was wondering what was going to happen with this. I subsequently explained everything and assisted the unfortunate soul in finding the foreign refuge she sought. I seem to remember Mrs. Sato and I had some rather strong words for her. Well, she was certainly not devoid of all guilt. She deserved every word, I'm sure. I wonder if she made it to America then. Nope. I would say one with the Titanic. She's getting down the Titanic. Okay, Sasato. I'm afraid I simply cannot comprehend it. Why would you go to such lengths, Mr. Sholmes? Why were you so determined to stop Cosmo-sama from reaching Britain? The hounds of the Baskervilles. The truth is, 12 months ago, there was already a very tangible omen of the impending tragedy, you see. Oh. An omen that, at this very moment in time, is close at hand. Huh? An omen of all these tragic events that already existed a year ago is close at hand? Thank you for repeating what he just said. Ryunosuke, thank you. We need to find out exactly what Mr. Sholmes knows! Okay, well, how come there's nothing else? How come there's nothing else? Look around. Well, let's take a look at the things then, shall we? First, let's whip out the blade. Karuma, the Great Blade. It's such a thing of beauty. I want to gaze on it for hours. There it is. Just the tip! The tip of the great sword. Broken. It's such a shame it's been so meticulously cared for over the years. I can almost hear Karuma's sobs. Kaza must have really taken a swing for that to happen. If there's any other evidence on it, huh? Looks like no. That's it. Just the tip. Just the tip. Okay, let's see here. Passport. Did we see the passport? Yeah, we saw the passport, yeah. Crew to resume duties as soon as the drill is over. Okay. All crew members are required to assemble on the deck at 10 p.m. in order to review evacuation procedures. It will take 20 minutes. So after 10 p.m. is likely when things happen. What the balls is this? Push the button. You've seen these little things all over the place, don't you? It's the part on the top of the pocket watch that you twist to set the time, isn't it? Oh! It's called the crown, I believe. A watch would be quite useless without one. A crown? Like, what sits on top of a monarch's head? It's a very grand name for such a tiny part. But actually... Yes, Mr. Naruto? If this is a crown, I have a feeling I might have seen a monarch around here somewhere with a very bare head. If by monarch you mean pocket watch, then I'm quite sure you have. Oh, that's the smoking gun on Jigoku. Oh dear. So, the body was put inside the box, maybe? Keisugi, Aishin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson, Hosonaga. The telegram. There was no room for doubt with your instructions in this telegram, Mr. Sholmes. You were very clear that it was Judge Jigoku's office that should be searched, so... You obviously knew that's where the list of names would be found. Keisugi, Aishin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. But we only learned of those 4 names just over 6 months ago now. And only because they appeared as part of the top-secret government communications that were leaked. That's true, yes. But at the time, you were unaware of the background. You see, those 4 names were wired to Japan. Around 6 months before that, approximately this time last year in fact, when you were both still in Japan. That's the omen? Because everyone on that list is dead except Kazuma now? Thing is, as far as I know, that reporter wasn't an assassin, but... It really would be hypocrisy on my part to reprove others for intercepting state secrets. Because after all, I'm perpetually eavesdropping on communications between the British and Japanese governments. You're perpetually doing what? How? Oh, the music kicked in, interesting. Never mind the details, but you should know. No secret is safe from Herlock Sholmes, when he has designs on knowing it. Oh my, Mr. Sholmes, what a fabulous line. Now, 1 month after that list of 4 names was wired to the recipient Jigoku in Japan, Dr. John H. Wilson was murdered. Huh. As soon as I learnt of the incident, a hypothesis rapidly took shape in my mind. As it turned out, I was partly correct and partly mistaken. Nevertheless, it was the beginning of all the tragic events that were to follow. Unless the fight with Jigoku was a trap and Kazuma got himself out of there, but why wouldn't he sell out Jigoku? Why did he believe Jigoku was dead is my question. Mr. Sholmes, please, tell us all you know. Tell us about these 4 names and the tragedy to which they're all somehow connected. The 4 names. As I said, when I learned of Dr. Wilson's murder in Japan, my mind immediately turned to those 4 names because, you see, there was someone else on the list who I believed to be recently deceased. What? Who? A Shin, as it was transcribed in Japanese script. In actual fact, Miss Asa Shin. That was a familiar name to me. She was a professional killer, well known among London's unsavory classes. Oh, I see. But she had completely vanished from existence several months before Wilson's murder. So I came to the logical conclusion that she had herself been killed. And accordingly I became fearful for the lives of the remaining 2 persons on the list. Kei Asogi and T. Gregson. Owing to our proximity, I decided to take measures to protect Gregson myself. But I determined it would be safest if young Asogi were to stay away from Britain. So that's why you went to such lengths to prevent this study tour from going ahead. Exactly. So, you already knew who Kazuma-sama was, Mr. Sholmes? Oh yes, Sholmes and I have exchanged correspondence for years. I'd recounted many tales about Asogi to him in my letters, and the news of Mr. Wilson's death, of course. So, Dr. Wilson is dead then? I didn't know. Oh, Iris. I know he wasn't my daddy, but still. That's very sad. Been using that man's name. I'm so sorry, Iris. We knew the significance of the name, obviously, but we just couldn't bring ourselves to tell you. No. Well, what you told us, Mr. Sholmes, doesn't completely tie in with the facts. There's one big hole in your hypothesis. A big hole, Mr. Naruhodo? Ah, yes. You mean about Asashin, I presume. Oh, of course. Exactly. She wasn't killed, was she? She was in Japan, posing as a visiting student under the assumed name of Giselle Brett. I'm glad you're keeping up, my dear fellow. But I only became aware of that fact 2 days ago in the fire of the Great Waterloo Hotel. Ah. And upon hearing that startling revelation, the hypothesis that I'd formed surrounding those 4 names was completely turned topsy. What? Topsy? Topsy hypothesis, yeah. What do you mean when you say your hypothesis was turned topsy, Mr. Sholmes? I believed all 4 names on the list to be the names of victims. However, I was mistaken. Very much so. Asashin was a killer. So this telegram is a list of both victims and killers, is it? Indeed, and it would seem that Miss Shin was dispatched from Britain with the sole intention of dispatching Dr. Wilson. Wait, that means... her visiting student status being merely a front. Problem with this thing! Which would of course explain why no motive could be determined for her actions. So the real reason Dr. Wilson was killed by Asashin is because he was the target of an assassination. Are we doing a freaking, what's it called? Passing trains? Not passing trains. It's not Double Jeopardy. It's a famous movie where two guys get together and they kill the other person's target so that there's no connection. And armed with that knowledge, fresh consideration of this telegram puts the list in a very different perspective. What do you mean? Well, does it not strike you there's another among the four who subsequently became a visiting student? Wait, you mean? But of course, a name you know only too well. He really did want to go to Britain. You mean Cosimo? Oh! He did say in court earlier today. Yes, on 31st of October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark. Oh my god, he might have killed Gregson, although he didn't because he uses a sword. That means he missed or something. Young Mr. Sogi accepted that mission a year ago now. Surely not. In conclusion, this document is a contract of sorts. An international agreement, one might say, detailing an assassin exchange. An assassin exchange? How could Cosmo possibly have gotten involved into something like that? So, I can't remember the original black and white, or it might have been just old Technicolor movie, but I do know another movie that was inspired by it was Don't Throw Mama from the Train or Throw Mama from the Train, which was a Billy Crystal and Danny DeVito movie, if I remember correctly. Assassin Exchange, where Danny DeVito's like, I will kill your wife, your ex-wife or whatever, you just gotta kill my mom. That was the movie. And it was like a black comedy, maybe, I think. Assassin Exchange. Let's assume that we have two parties, each wishing to dispose of a distinct individual. Those two parties then make a contract to swap their respective assassination targets. Yep, that's this. That would be, then, an assassin exchange. So to begin with, the British assassin is dispatched as a visiting student in Japan, where she kills her target. And then the Japanese assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Britain in order to eliminate his target. You kind of need to go back to the first case and see how Jigoku handled all this. It certainly does sound like an exchange. But what on earth is the point? Don't forget, Naruto, that the British assassin at least escaped conviction, thanks to diplomatic immunity afforded by consular jurisdiction. Oh yes. Such jurisdiction should be null and void under the terms of the new treaty between our two countries. So the fact that it was brought into play suggests intervention at the very highest levels. The highest levels? These murders were two sides of the same coin, linked not by a common motive, but by contractual agreement. As such, they appeared utterly unrelated. Yet in truth, the assassins were complicit in one singular, devilish scheme. That disassociation and the safeguard of diplomatic immunity were, I believe, the motivation behind this plot. But wait a minute, Sholmes. If this telegram really is describing the exchange of assassins as you're suggesting, it would mean that the Japanese killer's target was never Seshiro Jigoku at all. It would mean Asogi's target was actually Inspector Gregson. What? Cosmo was here for Gregson? The Judge Jigoku wasn't actually the Mark? Yes, that's exactly what it would mean. I hold myself personally responsible for failing to keep the Inspector safe. Mr. Sholmes? I told him of my fears and implored him to seek a transfer to an overseas position. Obviously with a young pickpocket in tow. Yes, Gina. Come to think of it, Inspector Gregson did mention that to us at the Great Exhibition. That he'd be transferring to the Paris police and taking Gina with him. But without informing me, he engaged in one last assignment, it seems. And sadly, it turned out to be his very last. This is too much to take in. Lots of revelations there. Alright, everyone. That's quite enough of all that serious talk for one day. Oh my god, Iris. I don't know if this is the right read of the room right now. Isn't it, Howie? I mean, look at the time. Quite right, Iris. We must conclude our preparations for tomorrow. What preparations? Well, I think I shall make my way back to my hotel room now. This has certainly been a night to remember. It is a little bit sad, though. Hmm? I mean, I like the idea of you being my daddy. What? Because then Susie would have been my big sister. I'm so sorry, Iris. I know, Iris. I was thinking quite the same thing. How sweet. Were you? But if somebody like me would be worthy, I would be delighted to become your sister. What? Really? Oh yes, without question. So, you'll teach me all the ways you know to throw a Wuno to the floor? Yes, of course. It would be my pleasure. You didn't have to agree quite so readily. Oh, but wait a minute. If Susie's going to be my big sister, you can be my big brother if you want, Wuno. Huh? I mean, yes, of course. If you'll have me, I'll gladly be your brother. Well done, Iris. We must always be mindful of feelings. I phrased you so well. Because being sensitive is your strong suit, naturally. Oh, God. Wait, I'm going to work extra hard for tomorrow now. Guess it's for my big brother and sister. What is all this talk about preparing for tomorrow? Preparing what? Hee. You'll just have to wait and see. Oh. Good luck in court tomorrow. I'm expecting a sterling performance. I'll do my very best, of course. So the overnight break in the trial's proceedings became a crucial turning point, exposing new truths whilst posing new conundrums. A list of 4 names on the telegram in Judge Jigoku's office. And the extraordinary assassination plot in which my best friend had somehow become involved. I felt as though I had been plunged into an even greater darkness all of a sudden. But at the same time, I felt sure I would see the light again soon. Because I was lucky enough to have the most wonderful family in the world standing steadfastly behind me. Back in Japan, screw these guys. Yeah, we know nothing of Naruhodo's family, do we? I don't even know anything. To be continued. Question is, okay, so Naruhodo is, if I remember correctly, told by the creator, is the ancestor of Phoenix. So Naruhodo banged somebody. My money's on Sasato, but it could always be, oh my god, what if it's Raymond Bame? I think that pair would work. They both feel very Phoenixy to me. Sasato in no way feels like Phoenix in any way. Raymond Bame, on the other hand, she's dorky enough to be. Alright, we will stop in a moment. 4th of November, 9:30 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Oh, we're starting right here. Now we're going to be in the thingy. Alright, the antechamber. Alright, so you know who's the voice for this guy? That I can't possibly do, but is totally the voice for this guy? Endeavor. Endeavor is the voice for Strongheart. That's totally what it is. That is the guy for this, because he always plays these block guys. I can't remember the voice actor. He always plays these, like, big brick men. And Strongheart is definitely that. Endeavor is that. I forget like anime and things that I've heard that voice actor in. Like, he very much plays these big dudes. He always plays these big, deep-voiced men. Because big guys usually have a pretty good deep voice on them, unless they're Mike Tyson. And yeah, that would be the voice. That's the best guess I have, but I don't know how to do that voice. It's like, I forgot the name of his son, but yeah, that would be the voice. That voice. I've heard that voice a lot recently because of playing Armored Core 6. So I tried to get that voice, and my best shot was what I did already this episode. So we'll see if I can continue to try to pull that off somehow for this guy. That voice feels like a center deep back in the throat. For sure. That's what that voice feels like to me. And we'll see how it is next time. So that's it for now. I had fun. Hope everyone watching. That's what's all about it. Having fun. Thanks for coming by and see you next time. My voice box is really beat up now, so I'm good. That's it. Can't do any more. Thanks for coming by, everybody. See you next time.